The project is expected to support the recovery of declining fisheries, safeguard maritime ecosystems, and improve livelihoods in coastal communities by enhancing long-term fish supply and food security. The establishment of the MPA follows cabinet approval in October 2025, marking a significant policy shift towards sustainable ocean governance in Ghana. Located along the western region coastline between Apantano and Damuni, the protected area covers about 700 square kilometers of critical maritime and coastal ecosystem. It serves as a breeding and nursery ground for key fish species, including sardinella, anchovies, and mackerel, while also providing migratory routes for whales and dolphins, as well as nesting sites for endangered sea turtles.
To the President John Dramani Mahama, the association accused the GTEG leadership of regulatory overreach, unilateral decision-making, and what it described as a coercive administrative approach. In a statement, the ministry said Deputy Minister for Education Clement Apak chairs the committee. The other members are Professor Katie Oduro, Technical Advisor to the Ministry of Education, and Professor Mahama Duwejua, Board Chairman of GTEG. The ministry said the committee has been tasked to investigate the allegations and submit recommendations to help address the concerns raised by UTAG. It further appealed for cooperation from all stakeholders as the committee begins its work, stressing the importance of dialogue in resolving outstanding issues in the tertiary education sector. It added that the government remains committed to constructive engagement with stakeholders to ensure stability and continued progress within Ghana tertiary education system.
The Woomba Show, definitely different.
You're welcome back. If you just tuned in, this is Bena Midday News, and we're still streaming live on Facebook at Bena TV. Now let's move on to other stories. The government of Ghana has announced plans to expand the Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty (LEAP) program from 350,000 to 400,000 beneficiary household in a move aimed at strengthening social protection for vulnerable populations. The Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, Dr. Agnes Namomo-Latte, disclosed that this during a meeting with the World Bank Social Policy Practice Manager for West and Central Africa, Robert S. Chase, who is in Ghana to deepen collaboration on social protection interventions. Further efforts to enhance the country's social safety net and extend support for more vulnerable households across the country. She noted that programs such as LEAP continue to play a critical role in reducing poverty and improving livelihoods, particularly among the most at-risk groups. The engagement between government and the World Bank focused on advancing key interventions under the Ghana Productive Safety Net Project 2, including the LEAP cash transfer program and technical support for the Ghana School Feeding Program. Dr. Latte emphasized the importance of strengthening partnerships, including private sector participation, to sustain and scale up social protection initiatives. She also assured that measures are being put in place to ensure a smooth transition for beneficiaries exiting such programs. The minister further highlighted ongoing legislative efforts, including Social Protection Act and the Affirmative Act, which are expected to improve coordination and efficiency within the sector. On his part, Mr. Chase reaffirmed the World Bank's commitment to supporting Ghana's social protection agenda, particularly in directing resources toward improving the livelihoods of Ghanaians. The expansion of LEAP is expected to significantly increase the reach of Ghana's flagship cash transfer program as the government intensifies efforts to build a more inclusive and resilient social protection system. The Minister for Transport, Joseph Nikpe Bukari, is expected to hold a crucial meeting with the leadership of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, on Thursday, April 16, in a bid to address mounting concerns over the rollout of the Publican AI system used in the clearance of goods at the country's port. The planned engagement comes at a time of heightened tension within the trading and logistics sector following a directive by GUTA, the lead freight forwarders and clearing agents, to embark on a sit-down strike on Monday, April 13.
The industrial action is aimed at protesting what the aggrieved members describe as a lack of adequate consultation and clarity surrounding the implementation of the new system. The Publican AI system, which has been introduced to enhance efficiency and transparency in the clearance of imports, has however been met with strong resistance from key players in the sector. Speaking after a meeting with the Ghana Shippers Authority on Monday, April 13, the Vice President of GUTA, Joseph Paddy, indicated that the association had formally requested a temporary suspension of the Publican AI system pending further discussions with the Transport Minister. The incoming meeting between the Transport Minister and GUTA leadership is expected to focus on key issues, including the implementation framework of the Publican AI system, stakeholder concerns about its impact, and possible adjustment or timelines that could ease the transition. With port operation playing a vital role in Ghana's economy, any prolonged disruption could have far-reaching consequences for trade, supply chains, and businesses nationwide.
Now moving on quickly to some business story, a coalition of policy and energy think tanks has urged the government to cut petroleum prices by 1 Ghana cedi 65 pesos, urging that the move would provide urgent relief to consumers facing rising living costs. The proposal, jointly issued by Imani Africa, COPEC Ghana, INSTEP and IES, follows a directive from President John Dramani Mahama instructing the Ministries of Energy and Finance to review the petroleum price build-up and recommend possible reduction in taxes, margins and levies.
In a statement dated Tuesday, April 14, 2026, the group said the proposed reduction should come from a comprehensive adjustment of the pricing structure rather than ad hoc measures. They further contended that the intervention would not significantly strain Ghana's fiscal position, pointing to expected revenue gains from the country's crude oil exports during the period. The proposal comes amid ongoing public concerns over poor prices, which have remained a key driver of transport and food inflation. The coalition added that any short-term relief should be matched with broader reforms to the petroleum pricing system to prevent repeated price shocks, though its immediate focus remains on delivering relief to consumers.
Now moving on to the international front, at least 3 vessels, including 2 United States sanctioned tankers, have entered the Gulf through the Strait of Hormuz on the first full day of the U.S. blockade on ships calling at Iran's port, according to shipping data. As the 3 vessels transiting to Strait on Tuesday were not heading to Iranian ports, they were not affected by the blockade.
Panama-flagged Peace Gulf, a medium-range tanker, is heading to Hamria Port in the United Arab Emirates, LSEG data showed. The vessel typically moves Iranian naphtha, a petrochemical feedstock, to other non-Iranian ports in the Middle East for export to Asia. Kepler data showed. Prior to this, 2 U.S.-sanctioned tankers passed through the narrow waterway, through which a fifth of global energy exports pass. Handy tanker Murli Kishan is heading to Iran to load fuel oil on Thursday, Kepler data showed. The vessel, formerly known as MKA, has transported Russian and Iranian oil. Another sanctioned tanker, Rich Starry, would be the first to make it through the strait and to exit the Gulf since the blockade began on Monday, data from LSEG and Kepler showed. The tanker and its owner, Shanghai Zhuaran Shipping Co. Limited, were sanctioned by the U.S. for dealing with Iran. Rich Starry is a medium-range tanker carrying about 250,000 barrels of methanol, according to the data. It loaded the cargo at its last port of call, Hamria, the data showed. The Chinese-owned tanker has a Chinese crew on board, the data showed. U.S. President Donald Trump announced a blockade of Iranian ports on Sunday after weekend peace talks between the U.S. and Iran in Pakistan's capital, Islamabad, failed to reach a deal. Before that, Iran had brought traffic through the strait, a key route for global energy shipments, to a near-total halt in response to U.S.-Israeli attacks on its territory since February 28. The Iranian de facto control over the choke points sent gas and petrol prices skyrocketing around the world. Now, Washington aims to take away Tehran's control over the strait.